Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Wednesday Night Recap. We haven't done the song in a long time. Could we do it?
Sure.
Wednesday Night Recap. I know
There's a reason
we don't
haven't
do
done
that
it in a while.
There's a reason that Pastor Petrucci doesn't want us to do that, but you know what? He's not here.
We get to do what we want.
We get to do what we want. So, hey, but welcome. Thanks for tuning in with us. And we have actually tonight's lesson on Judgment Call. Judgment Call by Andy Stanley is the one we're looking at. And the title for tonight is, I keep saying it and I keep forgetting it.
Don't just stand there.
Don't just stand there.
Don't just stand there.
Don't just stand there.
Yeah.
And he actually uses as a basis for this, he uses Matthew 18 verses, I think it's like 12 through 18, I believe is what it is. Yeah. Oh, actually, yeah, 12 through 17 actually. And so he uses these as kind of his launching point for it. And he begins the story and he talks about lost sheep. Mm-hmm. And, sheep are valuable. And he talks about how the shepherd would leave that 99, go to find the one, and how happy he would be to find them.
Right.
And it's kind of interesting because he made the point is in that moment when you're trying to find something very valuable, you're not thinking about all the things you actually have that are not lost. You're thinking
Right,
about the
right.
thing that's actually lost.
Right.
And so he goes from talking about sheep, and then a little further down he goes talking about children. Mm-hmm. And, he's kind of elevating it. Sheep are valuable, they're important, but then children. And I think we all can relate to that. Mm-hmm. Not having a child that's lost.
And then what did he say? That you don't lose one child and then think, well, I got 3 more.
Yeah.
So we'll just leave it at that.
Exactly. I mean, sometimes maybe you'd like to, but yeah, you don't think like that as a parent. And so he brings it down to this point. This kind of, I want to get to the heart of it. He asks the question, or we asked the question in our group tonight. When you lose something valuable, what are you willing to do to get it? Have you ever? I'm trying to think if you.
I brought up my cat.
No, but that's a big deal.
And I think again, if it's valuable to you, you lose something and you just think, oh well. But this was our cat, and our cat got out, and we were driving all over the place because you suddenly get all these tips. Hey, we think we saw it over here. Or we think it's under our deck, and we were going to people's houses, driving down miles at a rest stop. They thought, and as soon as I would see these cats, I knew that's not our cat.
Yeah.
I was saying my wife actually brought one in the house, saying I found him. And I said that's not our cat, and that cat started acting really weird. So
Lynn was desperate. She's like, we need to end this crisis. This is our cat.
Yeah, but it was hard, and even after, because we never did find them, you just, every time we drove through my parents' neighborhood, it was like, I wonder if he's still out there, but you just got to give up at some point. And that's just a cat, we're talking about huge
Although
things.
if you love cats, it's not just a cat. Yeah, but no, it's true. You just, something valuable. I mean, everyone here has lost their car keys or lost their wallet. And you rip things apart, pulled, couch cushions. You're tearing up your car looking for it, or you're flipping your house upside down because you need it.
Yeah.
And the passage says this in verse 15: if another believer sins against you, go privately and point out the offense. If the other person listens and confesses, you've won that person back. But if you're unsuccessful, take 1 or 2 others with you. Go back so that everything you say may be confirmed by 2 or 3 witnesses. And if the person still refuses to listen, take your case to the church. Then if he or she won't accept the church's decision, treat that person as a pagan or a corrupt tax collector. And I thought a couple things that were really interesting is I think what we as Christians sometimes do is if I'm a Christian and I see somebody going astray, maybe they're starting to really abandon their marriage or make some decisions that are going to really wreck them, then I think, well, I'm going to go to whoever's in charge in the church and have them go and talk to them. And when Jesus spoke these words, the church hadn't been born yet. Mm-hmm. And so he's talking about the Greek word ekklesia there. He's talking about a gathering, or in other words, the people that the greater group of people that know this person, that influence this person, they're the ones that are to be told, and as a group, to do something about it. And if he refuses to listen to a greater group of people beyond the one, beyond the two or three, but the greater group of people, then you're to treat him as an outsider. We talked about that last week, that an outsider is judged by God.
Right.
And they're actually, one of the harsh statements that Paul made was to this brother in Corinth was to treat him like, to turn him over to Satan, so that his soul will be saved. And so that's the instruction we're giving. I think even Andy said, no one does this.
I know.
And why do you think people don't confront other people more?
Either it's not going to make a difference. That's the thought. What am I going to say that's really going to change their mind? And we were talking about this earlier, is that instinctively, when we're talking about somebody wrecking their life, we could be saying literally or figuratively. But if we're saying literally, if my child was to go out in traffic, I'm not just going to stand off and say, that's too bad. I wish he wouldn't. No, you're going to instinctively go. And yet we're allowing people to go down a road that ultimately, eternally, it's going to ruin them, to destruction. But yet we have more time to process the conversation, and we psych ourselves out before we even get to the conversation.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make a difference. They're going to be mad at me, and I don't need that. Really, that's what we don't want to disturb things the way they are.
Yeah. It's true. And Andy brings up the point. He says, and I found this to be true. He said, if you are going to do this, if you're going to interject yourself in someone's life, another believer that you're friends with and you have a relationship with, and you're going to say, listen, this is not the way that's honoring God in your life. You shouldn't be, however you want to word it. It's not going to go well.
Right.
It's not going to be like, oh, thank you. I've been waiting for somebody to tell me this. It's going to go poorly.
Yeah.
And so if you kind of go in with that expectation that, this probably isn't going to be received well, then your motivation for doing it is really love. It's not so everything can be smooth and peaceful, but it's really love, because people that love people do hard things. I mean, what person here, and you probably say something, what person remembers a teacher that you walked over and could just do, students remember teachers that were like, hey, knock it off, you can do better. I'm going to challenge you to do this. Teachers that didn't put up with their crap, and teachers that were like, hey, come on, you can be more. Those are the teachers
you
I
had
remember.
respect for them. It's that parent, that passive parent that's trying to be the friend and all of that. You think you're doing good by that child, but they grow up with a lack of respect for you, just being permissive. And if we allow that to be our relationships, who would ever want it said to me or to them, you knew I was on this path and you didn't say anything to me? I mean, that would be an awful thing to go through.
Dagger in the heart, man. That'd be rough.
But I think something that he said towards the end of this, and I'm not saying we're at the end of this, but the one thing we can't do is just do nothing and just stand there and don't interject. We can't. That's not what we're called to. We're called to do exactly what he says in Matthew. But it's tough.
It is. It's difficult. It's one of those teachings of Jesus that you're like, do I really want to do this? And if you love people, the Proverbs I was trying to remember earlier, where it says this proverb says, you can trust the wounds of a friend, but an enemy will multiply kisses. Right. People that don't care about you, they'll say whatever you want to hear. But people that really love you, they'll challenge you to be like Jesus, to live in the way that you know to live. So.
And I think it's, unfortunately on camera here, but I've wanted to talk to you. We can have that conversation right now.
Let's just put our stuff out right now.
Let's bring all the gathering, the ecclesia with us, and just make you face it.
We knew at some point, because it's just the two of us, this thing was going to go off the rails. So, hey, thanks for joining us. Just a few things to let you know about, too. This next Wednesday, a week from tonight, our Royal Rangers will be doing their awards ceremony on the 24th. The following Wednesday, the 31st, will be our Girls Ministry Awards on the 31st. And then the 7th of September will be our final night of Judgment Call. Pastor Brandon will be leading that one. Also, September 18th will be our annual church picnic. You definitely want to make sure you come to that. Our General Superintendent, Doug Clay, will be speaking. Following our service, we're going to have incredible food, bouncy house things, ice cream, baby dinosaurs. I mean, I don't know. But we're going to have a great time, but that'll be September 18th. That's a Sunday. Make sure you put that on your calendar and be there. God bless you guys, and have an incredible week.